Mangwana Ningwanelepo Vukenjane Klekwas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Berry on Friday, the 6th of December. These are some of the stories we're looking at. South African Airways cancels some flights as pilots go on strike. Kenyan court convicts housemate for LGBTQ activists murder. And Billionaire migration boosts Africa's share of global wealth. Follow our programs on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, oneup2.com and Network Media Hub on YouTube. Our correspondents Mike Sichula in Zambia and Rorisang Mogojwe in Botswana will be joining us to share the latest news stories from their respective countries. This is Africa Good Morning. Top stories shortly.
As the holiday season draws near, ShopRite and Synergy Chatbot are delivering the Christmas spirit. Welcome at Santa's wish list. Follow the instructions to submit your drawing and letter to Santa. Step 1. Start by drawing a picture for Santa. And when you're done, just jot down a few details about yourself right next to it. Step 2. Scan the QR code and it will open up WhatsApp with a little message that says #ShopRiteSanta. Just send that message to Santa. Or if you like, you can also type #ShopRiteSanta into WhatsApp and send it to the number as indicated. Step 3. Follow the simple steps in the chatbot and submit your name and age. And most excitingly, the present you've picked from the list. Don't forget to include your physical address so Santa can find his way to you. Step 4. Once you've completed the previous steps, snap a photo of your drawing and your letter to Santa to submit your entry.
Now, remember, I'm looking forward to all the wonderful drawings and letters you'll be sending my way. See you soon, and keep spreading that holiday cheer. Ho, ho, ho!
Getting into our top stories, Namibia's governing party, SWAPO, has retained its hold on power after more than 30 years. However, its grip has been loosened. The latest African country where incumbents have had a difficult time this year. According to official results, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, the SWAPO candidate, won the presidential election with 57% of the vote, becoming the country's first female leader. Opposition parties have refused to accept the outcome after the polls were marred by logistical problems and irregularities. Other important questions that have yet to be answered include how SWAPO might have increased its share of the presidential vote when in the parliamentary election it recorded its worst ever performance, losing 12 of its 63 seats and only just holding on to its parliamentary majority. Now, SWAPO is not alone in suffering a major electoral setback. This year has been an annus horribilis for those governments in sub-Saharan Africa that have had to face voters at the ballot box. In almost every election held in the region this year under reasonably democratic conditions, the governing party either lost a significant number of seats or lost power completely. All right, let's move on to our next story. South African Airways said it had cancelled flights to Perth and Sao Paulo yesterday, after receiving confirmation from the SAA Pilots Association that they planned to strike following a deadlock in pay talks. The company decided on Wednesday night to cancel the Perth and Sao Paulo routes after being told the strike planned for Thursday would go ahead. Kaya Buthelezi, the airline's senior manager of corporate relations, told Reuters. That's the decision we took last night since we could not find partner airlines that we can transfer our customers to. It became clear that those two routes must be cancelled, he said. Early on Thursday, there were no disruptions to domestic flights or routes across Africa as the airline had made contingency plans, he said. Some pilots were seen picketing outside the SAA office at the OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, Buthelezi said. SAA pilot Sibusiso Kumalo, representing the SAA Pilots Association and the National Transport Movement Pilots Forum, told public news broadcaster SABC that beyond monetary value, their demand centered around better working conditions and conditions of employment. Now, the company has made profits in the past couple of months. It's not like we want a piece of that pie. We just want to have better working conditions, Kubalo said. Now, SAAPA's initial demand in May was for a 30% increase in pilot salaries, which was subsequently reduced to 15.7%, including associated benefits, SAA said in a statement this week. Now, SAA's interim chief executive officer, John Lamola, said in the statement that the demand for 15.7% pay rise would trigger the company's decline into bankruptcy. The airline has offered an 8.46% pay increase backdated to April. Now, the national carrier was on the verge of being liquidated before it entered a form of bankruptcy protection in 2019. A court in Kenya has found the housemate of an LGBTQ activist guilty of murder in the killing of the activist, whose body was discovered stashed in a metal box 2 years ago. A high court judge in the western city of Eldoret said on Wednesday that the prosecution had shown that Jackton Odhiambo suffocated Edwin Chiloba and stashed his body in a metal box that was dumped on the road with the help of his brother and cousin. Odhiambo denied killing his housemate despite samples of DNA being found on the victim's body, and witnesses testifying to hearing the two in a heated argument and seeing Odhiambo move the metal box. DNA evidence indicated the two had an intimate physical relationship, but the court gave no finding on the motive for the killing. Chiloba's death in January 2023 attracted global interest at the time due to attitudes toward gay rights in Kenya, where sex between men is illegal, and LGBTQ people have decried discrimination and attacks. However, police ruled out the possibility that the killing was a hate crime and arrested Odhiambo, who was sharing a house with Chiloba in Eldoret. Police described finding the decomposing body of a man who was dressed in women's clothes in a metal box after a motorcycle taxi rider saw people in a car dumping the box. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. After the break, we talk to Mike Sichula in Zambia, followed by Rorisang Mogojwe in Botswana, for them to bring us the latest stories from their respective countries.
Santa has a festive surprise for you. Starting 2nd December, unwrap the magic of Christmas with our Advent calendar. Spot the Christmas globes in your favorite newspapers from Monday to Friday. Scan the QR code or WhatsApp hashtag Advent Calendar 24 to the Synergy chatbot. Find the Christmas globes on NTV. Or visit our Facebook pages for daily Advent doors from Monday to Saturday. Win daily prizes. Lucky winners will be contacted and Logistics Hub Namibia will deliver your prize. Merry Christmas from Santa and his proud prize sponsors.
So this is actually our last live broadcast with our correspondents, Mike Sichula and Rorisang Mogojwe, for the year 2024. However, we're going to be bringing you their best broadcasts of the year as we close off this beautiful year. But for now, let's talk to Mr. Mike Sichula one last time. Muribanji.
Niribuino Muribanji, Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning indeed, Mike. Now, the Africa Finance Corporation has secured $500 million for the construction of the Lobito Trans-Africa Railway Corridor. Tell us more, Mike.
So this week, President Hakainde Hichilema, the president of Angola and the Democratic Republic of Congo, met in Rwanda when American President Joe Biden was there, when he also announced an additional $600 million for the construction of the Lobito corridor. So AFC Chief Executive Officer Samaria Zubliani said during the Lobito Summit in Rwanda that the second phase of the project involves the construction of an additional 800 kilometers greenfield railway to link Angola and Zambia for the first time. Mr. Zobreabo said also AFC has signed a memorandum of understanding with critical mineral enterprise Cobalt Metals as an anchor client, securing the movement of max minimum of 300,000 metric tons of copper and related freight annually once the Robito corridor is operational. So this project, the countries involved have pledged a commitment to ensure that the project is successful and that it delivers the intended purpose.
All right, Mike, moving on to your next story. You see, we kind of preempted you there with the images, but Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo are probing the shooting to death of a Zambian military officer by DRC forces.
So this sad incident happened last week when a ZNS official got into a confrontation with DRC military officers somewhere where Zambia and the DRC share a border. So according to information that has been shared by the Zambian ministry, the Zambian Defense Ministry, the officer was shot after they attempted to stop some illegal smugglers of the staple food meal meal. So because of that, Zambia and the Democratic Republic of Congo have agreed to form a joint commission to analyze in detail what led to the shooting to death of a ZNS officer by alleged DRC forces on one of the border areas. So DRC Interior, Decentralization and Traditional Affairs Minister Jacqueline Simbaya says the two countries want to know what happened so that they can identify the people responsible. He added, he also, who's chairing the same committee, said Zambia and the DRC will help the two governments to see to it that such occurrences does not happen. Because one of the arguments was that there is no clear border demarcations to indicate that this is Zambia and this is the DRC. So as a result of that, the argument has been that Zambian officers may have strayed into the democratic ranks, and because of that, they were suspected to be rebels, and that's how the shooting came about. So these are some of the issues the two countries are trying to resolve.
All right, Mike, moving on to your next story. Government has reduced transit permit fees for foreign transporters. Tell us more about this.
So transit permits will now be 4,500 kwacha, which is equivalent to $167 effective Monday, December the 9th next week for the first application, and duplicate as compared to what they were paying, which was $445. So according to the statutory instrument number 78 of 2024, the price for renewal has been reduced. So Department of Immigration Director Japheth Lishowell says the reduction follows a stakeholder consultation process involving both local and international state and non-state actors in addressing the plight of foreign truck drivers. So these are some of the concerns that foreign truck drivers complained, that the fees on the Zambian side were higher as compared to other countries. So also some Zambian transporters, truck drivers, have been calling on the Zambian government to engage Zimbabwe to ensure that the fees that they pay when transiting through Zimbabwe are reduced, something that the truck drivers are hoping that will also be done as following what the Zambian authorities have done.
And we close off in sports. Zambia under 17 thrashed Namibia 8-0 in their COSAFA tournament opening match in South Africa.
Zambia's dominance at the COSAFA tournament seems to be going up and up. So like you've rightly said, yes, Zambia's began its title defense of the COSAFA under 17 with a convincing 8-0 victory over Namibia in South Africa. So the tournament serves as a regional qualifier for the 2024 Under 17 Africa Cup of Nations. So the junior Chiporoporo boys, coached by Ian Bakara, now have a chance to secure a spot at the continental stage were aiming to defend the COSAFA tournament they won in 2022. So Zambia's next match is up against rival Zimbabwe on Saturday. This promises to be, considering that Zimbabwe are also coming off from a 5-1 bashing of Eswatini, and it is hoped that the two countries are going to trade. I don't think there will be any brotherly trade in this match, considering that both Zambia and Zimbabwe want to qualify for the AFCON under-17.
All right, let's see how it goes. You certainly dealt with Namibia decisively. I'll talk later about what it means for African unity. But with regards to Zambia's success, of course, it is still a success for all Africans. Thank you, Mike, for bringing us not just that story and the stories from today, your stories throughout the year, keeping us updated on the latest happenings in Zambia.
I also want to thank you, the crew behind the scene that have been making sure that the broadcast is smooth. I want to thank them, and I want to wish the crew behind Africa Good Morning a very good festive season, and I hope to meet next year and continue the dissemination of news across the African continent. Thank you very much. Have a blessed festive season. Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning. Zambia, kuchalo. Let's have a look at the weather predictions before we talk to Rorisang Mogojwe in Botswana. All right, it's time for us to talk to Rorisang Mogojwe for the last time live this year, bringing us the news stories from Botswana. Rorisang, dumela.
Dumela Ashwin, and dumela to all our viewers from all over Africa.
Yes, indeed. Now let's get straight into our first story. The government has reaffirmed its commitment to reducing water tariffs by 30% before February 2024.
Yes, that is correct. The Water and Human Settlements recently announced that the government will reduce water tariffs by 30%. And the aim or the goal is really simple: to reduce the financial burden on citizens of the country, especially on families that are deemed to be impoverished, so that they can be able to have access to water services. This is because water tariffs have been deemed to be very high, and also there have been some inconsistencies in terms of paying the bills or bill payments from Water Utilities Corporation. But the government has since had a review of the tariff structure, and they have taken the necessary consultations and also the preparatory steps with the Water Utilities Corporation. That's the corporation that is responsible for water services, and it was agreed that a 30% tariff reduction can be implemented. And also, as part of reducing this financial burden, the government also announced that there will be 100 kula vouchers. 100 kula is about $8 to families that cannot afford to pay for water. So if they have some vouchers or that they are assisted by government in that regard, it might help with their economic status as well. And one other thing that the minister noted was that future tariff reductions can be considered, looking at the economic situation. But for now, they are going to implement just a 30% tariff decrease in the country.
All right, Rory, moving on to your next story, which is rather disturbing. A senior police officer, Kasane Deputy Police Station Commander, has been remanded in custody over allegations of defiling a 15-year-old girl.
Yes, this is a particularly concerning story. Defilement is a serious case in Botswana and I suppose all over the world, particularly with a high-ranking police officer who took the oath to protect and to serve. Now, he was remanded in custody after appearing in court where he was denied bail. He had applied for bail saying that he will not pose any risk to the victim or to their family, but the magistrate court then highlighted the severity as well as the potential risk, including interference with the criminal justice or witness, given the accused rank. He has since been suspended from the police service, and he has similar allegations in 2008. Allegedly, he was convicted to 10 years in prison for a similar offense, but the Court of Appeal since set it aside, and therefore concern to the public justice system that a high-ranking police officer could be accused of defiling a minor, particularly because there are many cases of defilement that have been reported, about 5,000 over the last 2 years. So in this era, especially during the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, police officers as well as law enforcement and the judicial are saying we need to combat such cases of
Should we
defilement.
end there? Should we get into our next
the
story?
police officer in question. And so the police officer in question has been remanded in custody.
All right, Rory will be waiting on an update on that story. In the last of your stories, the Shiamiso Trust, I hope I pronounced that correctly, tasked with compensating Southern African mine workers suffering from silicosis and tuberculosis, has disbursed over 6.7 million pula to claimants.
Yes, the Tiamiso Trust. And Tiamiso, by the way, is a Setswana word which means to make good or to correct. So the Tiamiso Trust is living up to its name of compensating mine workers that were working in South African gold mines. And these mine workers might have been exposed to dust that potentially caused silicosis or tuberculosis working in these gold mines during specific periods between the 10th of March 1965 as well as the 10th of December 2019. 78 families have received all of this money. They have received, which is about 500,000 US dollars. And the trust spokesperson has since revealed that 1,600 claimants in Botswana are currently undergoing examinations to determine if they are eligible for compensation. But so far, 78 claimants have received the money, and some of them have unfortunately passed.
All right, it seems like we had lost the sound there whilst talking to Rorisang Mogojwe, but we are certainly grateful for this broadcast and other broadcasts she's been bringing from Botswana throughout the year. This is Africa Good Morning. We'll head into our highlights shortly. Let's get into the highlights from this morning's broadcast. Why voters are giving Africa's governing parties a bloody nose. South African Airways cancels some flights as pilots go on strike. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, OneUp2.com and Network Media Hub on YouTube is precisely where you can find us. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Sweda Jakanaka.